Hey guys, welcome to the video. Salt here. Today we're going to be going over the Archgun the Velocitus. But before we start, let's go over our commenter board. The first commenter of the last video was Silver44, and the top commenter of the last video was Roar XD Tone P4Me 9360. And then we have our recent channel supporters here of Elite Reverser, Whoop-de-Wham, and Nice Bear. Thank you so much for your support. Unique and interesting things about the Velocitus is that it has a quick fire and a charged fire mode. The charged fire mode does do significantly more damage per shot than the quick fire mode does. Both modes have innate magnetic, innate punch through, and the charged fire mode specifically, when you shoot it, it's going to do this forced pushback on you. It's almost like a forced self stagger. And in Archwing specifically, the shots from the Velocitus will bounce off walls. So how the Velocitus is built is actually very similar to another weapon, the Daiku Prime. The Daiku Prime is a very slow firing weapon, just like the Velocitus is, and it does very high single target damage. And so we're going to be doing kind of the same thing that you see on weapons like the Daiku Prime, the Snipertron, where you're going to be focusing on that single target damage, but you're going to go blast on the weapon. That way that single target damage is transferred into AoE. Now, arc guns aren't as good as regular weapons doing that because they don't have access to things like acuity, but they're still decent. Now, this build took me about 2 days to come up with. Did a lot of testing on the Velocitus. It's always the weird weapons that take the longest to do. I don't know why, but yeah, 2 days on the Velocitus here. The initial build was actually using both of the deadheads. It was using primary deadhead and secondary deadhead just to stack those headshot multipliers to make that blast explosion even bigger. However, on a little bit more testing this morning, primary crux does let you have a more consistent blast proc. I actually want to give a little shout out to my friend Grandmaster Ace. He did a lot of math with me this morning to find out what percentage the blast should be at with primary crux rather than with deadhead, because with the dual deadhead builds, we were using mark target here for another 120 status chance, and we were looking at about a 45% blast proc, which it's not great. You do have a stronger blast proc because you're using two deadheads and you have more headshot multiplier there, but it's a less consistent one at only 45% chance. Where with primary crux, you're looking at about 90%, even a little bit more than 90% chance to produce that blast proc. And with crux and then one deadhead, instead of using mark target, you're using combustion rounds to further increase the blast weighting there. So now let's go over the mods. We have prime dual rounds for 110% multi-shot. In the next mod slot here, we have Archgun Ace. This is on a headshot kill. We get 50% fire and charge rate, and we also get a 100% reload speed buff for 9 seconds. There is an option instead of Archgun Ace to just go for Shell Rush. Shell Rush also gives you a 50% charge rate. You don't get the extras like you do with Archgun Ace, but it's not a conditional. You always have the 50% charge rate, whereas Archgun Ace, you need to be getting headshot kills and it'll last for 9 seconds. I mean, the Velocitus, you're supposed to be getting headshot kills. That's pretty much the entire focus of the build. And so I would say you should use Archgun Ace, but if you're a little bit less confident in your aiming abilities, then you could definitely use Shell Rush instead. Next, we have Parallax Scope for 100% crit chance, Critical Focus for 60% crit chance and damage when aiming, Hollowed Bullets for 80% critical damage, Combustion Rounds for 120% heat. We're actually going to be making blast here, so combustion rounds just basically increases our blast weighting. And then the next two mod slots, we're going to have the two 60/60s to make blast, so that's going to be Magma Chamber, which is the heat one, and Hyperthermic Shells, which is the cold one, to make blast. In the primary arcane slot, we're using primary crux. This gives us a 300% status chance, and on the Velocitus, that equals a 75% final status chance. And it also gives us some ammo efficiency, which is kind of nice because the Velocitus has a really bad ammo supply. Although you are charge shotting, it's kind of slow. So even without crux, like even with the two deadhead build that we were initially testing, if you're only charge shotting, it's not that big of a deal, but crux makes it definitely not big of a deal as far as your ammo supply goes. So that's another just nice thing about crux. In the secondary arcane slot, we have secondary deadhead. This is going to be 360% flat damage, 30% headshot multiplier, which is really nice, pretty much why we're using it. And then minus 50% weapon recoil, which doesn't really matter too much because we're using the charge shot mode anyway. This is how you build out the Archgun the Velocitus. I hope you guys liked it, and if you did, consider leaving a like and subscribing for future content. So now we'll have a 5-minute gameplay portion showcasing the weapon, and when that's done, we'll come back to the Orbiter and we'll give it its final score and rank. So I'll see you guys again after the gameplay. Alrighty, we're about to start this 5-minute gameplay portion here on the Velocitus, everyone's favorite weapon. Let's go ahead and hack the terminal and get into it here. I do have Proteus Dispensary subsumed on my Anaros, just in case I need it, but I should not need it because this is a very ammo efficient weapon when you charge shot it. If you quick shot it, it is not ammo efficient at all. But charge shotting, it's very ammo efficient. You can see the blast procs are doing the work for us for the AoE. That's pretty much like the thoughts on this build and how you would build similar weapons, you know, things like the Daikyu Prime, any kind of slow firing weapon that's really good. Single target does really well with blast because you basically transfer that single target into AoE. There is like one little gripe I have though on this weapon. Sometimes when you fully charge it, it still quick fires. I don't know why. It doesn't happen often, but you'll probably see it a few times during this. Is like you think it's fully charged, you let go of it, and then it'll do a quick fire instead of a charge fire. Maybe it's just me. It could be user error. Maybe I'm just like letting go too quickly. Right there. See right there. I think that was a quick fire. I don't think that was a charge fire. And I'm pretty damn sure it was fully charged. I don't know. That's my only gripe. It doesn't happen a lot, but it happened enough over the past 2 days to irk me a bit. Well, this is a weapon where you're going to be wanting to get headshots very frequently to make sure your crux is up. And because of that, it's not going to be the best weapon to use on low density maps. You really want to be using this on high density maps. Low density maps, you're not really going to be able to maintain crux. You always have the option to still do the dual deadhead build, and that's a little bit less in need of frequent headshots. I mean, you still want to get headshot kills, but deadhead lasts for, what is it, 24 seconds instead? The thing is that then you have a 24, or you have a 45% blast rate, which is not very good. And the dual deadhead build, you need to switch combustion rounds into marked target. That's the only difference there. I think the dual deadhead build with marked target is more valid if you have a Riven with a gigantic amount of status chance. I'm talking, it would need to be like 250 to 300% status chance on your Riven. If you have a Riven with 250 to 300% status chance, then I think the, well, I don't think, I know that the dual deadhead build would be better then, because then you could get about the same percent chance to produce blast, and you would have 2 of those headshot modifiers. And I did test that this morning as well. Actually, I tested it last night and this morning, just to make sure that they stacked, and they do stack both of those headshot multipliers. But yeah, that would require a very high status chance Riven, and I don't even know. I can't remember what the dispo is on this weapon. I don't know if you could get a Riven that had like 250 or 300% status chance. Probably not. Pretty good versus the Acolyte. You're gonna want to be very careful aiming, just like every other shot you have on this. But look at that, bam, 1 shot, and I could probably 2-shot him. Well, yeah, he'll die to a. No, he won't die to the dot. Okay, let's finish him here. There we go. He had a little slash proc, I think, on him. I thought he was gonna die to it. I don't know why DE like kept the pushback mechanic on this weapon when you're using it as a heavy weapon. It's really annoying. I feel like the Velocitus is already kind of hurting in its strength as a heavy weapon. Why did they have to give it like a pushback effect that like does a little force self stagger? I think it's kind of annoying. So we're almost at 5 minutes here. I think you guys get the general gist of this weapon. Shoot at a pack of enemies, get a headshot, do a big blast proc, kill the pack. Functions like a lot of other sniper rifles in the game, except it's an ARC gun. We'll get Thraxes here pretty soon. It does pretty decent versus Thraxes. Thraxes move very erratically, so sometimes getting the headshot on the Thrax is annoying. That's my only issue with it. If you get a headshot, you can like 1 or 2 shot them. But getting that headshot is a pain in the butt sometimes. I don't even think that was a headshot, but it still did a lot of damage there. Let's take him out. And then we got one more Thrax here. This Thrax is going to be a little bit nicer, and he's just going to sit there for us. Alrighty, and that is a 471 in 5 minutes there. It's actually pretty good. So we'll head back to the Orbiter now. Welcome back to the Orbiter, guys. So let's go over how the Velocitus did in its 3 10-minute runs on Steel Path Lewis Circulus. It got 711, 705, and 811 kills, putting it in the A tier for kill per minute potential. When it comes to single target damage, it's really good. You do want to make sure you're actually hitting your shots though, because you have the charging of the weapon, you have the pushback that it kind of forces that self stagger. And so if you miss a shot, you have to go through that whole process again. So missing a shot is really painful on this weapon. But as long as you're hitting your shots, this is a very good single target weapon. You're going to be taking out big enemies very quickly. Most Thraxes are like 2 shots. Eximuses are usually 1 shot. The Acolyte most of the time is a 2 or 3 if you're unlucky shot kill. So really good at single target there. I would say it's A tier for single target damage. When it comes to ease of use, that's where this is suffering, and it's because this is a very high skill ceiling weapon. This requires a lot of skill. You need to be hitting your shots. When you don't hit your shot, you are punished. You're punished because of the charge mechanic that takes a while. You're punished because of the forced pushback that takes, some time to go through. And then you have to shoot again to try to hopefully hit your second shot there. So when you miss, you're punished severely. So very, very high skill ceiling weapon. Similar to like something like the Daikyu Prime, but the Daikyu Prime doesn't get punished by having that forced pushback and self stagger. So I feel like you get punished even more on this weapon than you do the Daikyu Prime. So for ease of use, easily D tier, bottom of the barrel for ease of use there, D tier. So that's my take on the weapon. Tell me what you guys think. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have an amazing day. All right, bye.